All right, good people. All right, good people. You have just entered in the Mortal Portal with Entitled Millennials. This is Diverse Universe. We in the building. I'm feeling good. It's feeling right. The name of this episode is Adulting 101. I only added the T because somebody corrected me on the way up the steps, but we're going to let it ride. In the building today, I'm going to start with this young lady here. Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Kiara J.
I knew you had a see, that's what I'm saying. Tell me the stage name. I just knew it because that J one there, I wouldn't have said J. So you would have just been Kiara to the world.
Okay.
Without the J.
It's J.
I'm glad that you're here. She had, Mama had came at me like, Kiara said she never been on the show. Why she never been on the show? And I said, I invited Kiara. She was like, you didn't invite Kiara. And I was like, I know I invited Kiara. And she was like, show me. Then I was like, I can't because I got a new phone. And she was like, what? Then I was like, wow. So I kind of felt blindsided, but it's okay.
She get real thuggish about it.
She was thuggish on.
I like when you tell the truth on the show.
You feel what I'm saying? I got to be honest.
I kind of felt like now I got to know both of you better.
I'm your brother.
You've
known me long as you've been alive.
It felt like the right moment.
You haven't been alive without me being alive for like 3 months.
Think about where we just went just now.
You know what? Brianna, would you like to introduce yourself as the...
I don't know what my name is.
Okay. Now, would you like to tell the people what you think your name should be?
Talking to the mic.
My name is Brianna Nicole today. My name is Brianna Nicole.
I like how she clapped her hands like, just get over it.
If it wasn't today, what would your name be?
Jasmine Monet.
Okay. Look at her. She had it ready. Miche, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Birthday in a couple of days.
Come on now.
All right.
No. Too much shit.
Uh-oh.
A whole lot of it going on.
You got your glasses on?
Yeah. Today's been a long day for me.
Have it?
I couldn't even get cute today. 2 jobs, then I gotta come here.
That's 3 jobs.
Dedication.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Kid Money, how are you feeling? Are you in the building?
I used to wear a hat every episode. It was my thing. And now I have to find something else better to do. So...
He want to show his Puerto Rican side.
No.
Ricky.
I walked upstairs, forgot about the hats that I put on the seats. It's just been a long day, man. It's been a real long day. I got on a whole different salesman. Like, you do like a salesman right now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody said, hey, you look good in that. You know what everybody said? Hey, you must have just got off work. And I had to let people know I thought this was fashionable.
I thought you went to court today. No, it looks nice.
I wore this on purpose is what I'm telling you.
I'm trying to blend in with the high school students.
That's the thing. Wow. I had enough time to get stuff. I even laid this out the day before. So when you guys say certain things to me, it makes me think that I might not be up with the time.
You laid your clothes out the night before?
The night before, because I was like, everybody used to seeing the regular Kid Money put on a collar shirt, button all the way to the top. Don't play with me, man. Now, you know I don't play about that. Button all the way to the top, because I don't ever want to play about that experience.
I feel like I got to know you so much more.
Okay, his button be all the way up to the top. Like,
speaking of putting their clothes out night before.
It's respect.
Speaking of. These 2 good people, I get so happy when they come on the show.
Absolutely.
One more than the other, because one thing about Sister Rose, I love when she comes on the show. She brings a pad, she brings the glasses. She don't wear things that just sends me to a fit of rage. And I feel like, speaking of putting your clothes out the night before,
wow.
Pastor Rose just have to wear something with the Cleveland Browns. Just something.
Every time.
Like it's a mistake. Like, why? I know you have more.
Yo, check it though. I double layered, so in case you ain't happy with you see what I'm saying? I got Cleveland on the inside. I got the Browns on the inside.
Tell me that one's slick.
I just don't like it.
Pants.
I got the
Why do you let him do this?
Oh, coordinate.
From the Rudy
There you go.
Okay. How you guys doing today?
Great.
You're doing good, man.
Always good to be here.
Good. Thank you.
I don't understand. Why did you call it Kiara's stage name?
I
I'm just trying to figure
because well, yeah,
that's the stage. I mean,
well, this is a platform, and you know, a couple of years ago, Kira was doing, she was doing some YouTube things, which I thought was really, really dope. So you know, I always thought she was going to continue it, which I think you are, right? You continue the thing where you know, I thought you would get back into the thing when you talk, when you was talking in the car, tell her what was going on, you know what I mean? So I thought you had a name that you preferred to put out there other than, so that usually happened, you know? Like, you know, I said, the dream, and she was like, no, it's Flex. And I was like, you right. So, you know what I mean? So that just means you're trying to be cool.
you know, but Kiara she's a real nice person. So when she gave me the privilege of being on her show once, she didn't tell me that the way I was sitting, I looked like I was about 300 pounds heavier than I actually am. You know, so it was real good information.
See?
He was chilling super hard.
See?
Me and Pastor Kim kept trying to tell him, like, you know, sit up.
You need
know
to
what I mean?
sit up.
He was chilling.
Yeah.
All laid back.
I was laid back like black, but I didn't realize it's some fat on the black. Yeah.
One thing I can say about you, you do not like to be uncomfortable.
No.
Like
It's
like,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're gonna get comfortable.
Yeah, it's important.
But you know, couches. This was a couch or a chair?
A couch.
It was a couch.
I don't like couches.
We need to invest in a couch.
No, you don't. Couches bring out the worst in you,
Yeah.
cause you gotta sit. And you gotta, and then this man gotta do something like this. So we be like, yeah, I have a opinion. They look like we can't breathe. I don't like it. I just rather stand up. But you know, I'm just saying. But you do have a show, so why are you making it difficult?
No, you are 100% valid.
You feel what I'm saying? Can you tell them that?
It's valid. It was Kiara J. all
Well,
along.
well, you know what though? I'm gonna do this entire show. I'm not gonna speak English. I'm gonna speak this entire show in tongues.
I want to see it.
Please don't.
I want to see it happen.
Please let's not.
Don't think that's not going to work for us. It's going to work for us. It's going to add a couple more subscribers. Whatever you got to do,
Without question.
you know, to pop it through. Hey, I have got some criticism about these super shows, and I felt the need to attack them. So, you know, some people come at me and say, hey, man, you know, first off, you know, why I got to be your pastor that comes on the show? You know, why I can't be other pastors? And I'm like, hey, get yourself a show. You can do what you want. Then I always hear this one. This is my favorite I heard from a couple of people. I feel like when the pastor come on the show, wife come on the show, people from church come on the show, you always teeter-totter. You don't give no topics that's challenging. And I was like, whoa! Was it also you in them comments?
I don't think so. The last conversation
That's what I'm saying.
was a really good topic.
That shows these people watching. I feel like Seinfeld here.
Conversation.
But they were saying it wasn't challenging, like I would teeter-totter. So I said, okay, cool. Challenge accepted. You know what I mean? And then it took me back for last time. You know, last time Pastor was like, I thought y'all was going to mention something about sex. And I was like, okay, nobody's happy with the lineup here. Nobody's happy. Like, and I guess if I was being a little PG about the show, I apologize. I felt like it was a great conversation. But I do love when I hear those things. But I got to thinking, there's a big difference between, well, of course we know this, but I just want to let other people know this. Constructive criticism and, what I'm about to say, destructive criticism.
Oh.
Some people can give some people can, like, criticize you, but it's not helpful. They just tell you everything you're doing wrong. Don't want to tell you how to do things
It's
right.
just criticism.
You know what I mean? It's nothing to grow.
It's not a
But
critique.
I like those because it just like let me know, okay, cool, you know, figure things out, accept it, move on, take responsibility. And I think that's what growing up, being an adult is learning how to take responsibility. You had an acronym for adulting.
Yes.
What was the acronym?
And hello, everybody, by the way.
Did I not say?
No, that's all right.
I felt like I did say it.
Well, you missed it, but that's all right. I'll take care. I just want to introduce everybody.
Go ahead.
My fabulous wife,
Yes.
Come on now.
so you know what it is.
How he do this off?
Ladies and gentlemen, introduce them. Spiritual chocolate. Spiritual chocolate, ladies and gentlemen. I can't say that. Spiritual chocolate. Lady Chocolate. Look so lovely, don't you agree?
I don't like it.
It's too much. But anyway, yes. So on our YouTube channel, Built Upon a Rock Marriage and Enrichment Ministries, I did a series called Adulting 101.
What's your YouTube channel called again?
Built Upon a Rock Marriage and Enrichment Ministries.
Yeah, I like it.
He said, "Say it again."
Yeah, sure. Just
I broke it down. I think it was 5 parts, but basically, really simple way to remember what adulting is. And this was geared towards making sure that you're marrying an adult and don't get married until you're an adult. Okay, but it can also be used as for single people as well. So the acronym is very simple. A is for accountability. You need to be accountable for your actions. Right now, not blaming your past situations, not blaming what other people have done
Okay.
for your actions, but taking responsibility for your actions and for the responsibilities that you stepped into. So if you step into a marriage, you're responsible for the marriage. If you step into a job, you're responsible to do what's necessary in the job. D is for discipline. Discipline is really challenging. Discipline is about self-control, which is a spiritual gift. And so it's hard to be truly disciplined for me anyway, without bringing in my spiritual discipline as well. So discipline in your finances, discipline in your eating, in your self-care, discipline in reading your word. All of those things are necessary as an adult. The U is for understanding. Don't marry somebody who cannot understand that their way is not the only way. They can't emote with you. They can't understand when you're going through something. They can't understand that you have a different perspective. You grew up in a different household, a different time, a different place. You come with a different perspective to the relationship. And so understanding is really important. L is for loyalty.
I need to write this down.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, you know, you can find it on
It's actually on our.
Look at him. And he ain't shamed either.
But loyalty is important, and it's not just fidelity to your relationship, but also to God. And so we are to be loyal even to in our relationship with our God, and our relationship with in our faith. And then the last one is truthfulness, because grown people don't lie. That's just it. You shouldn't be lying on your taxes. You shouldn't be lying to your job. You shouldn't be clocking in and not work. I mean, all these things are lies. You shouldn't be lying to your spouse about where you are.
Yes.
You shouldn't be lying to your mama. And people who lie, you shouldn't lie to your children. Lying is about deceiving people, right? And there's a difference between keeping a secret and telling a lie. There's a difference between not telling your wife that her butt is too big and you know when it is. So you know what a lie is. It's about deception. And so and Jesus said that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And so walking in truth, understanding that there is only one truth, and to live by that. So adulting, again, accountability, discipline, understanding, loyalty, and truthfulness. And another T you can use like for honorable mention is being trustworthy.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can be trustworthy if you don't tell the truth. So you can add that one in there.
Trustworthy
If you're not truthful.
tell the truth.
If you're not truthful, nobody's going to trust you.
Right.
So you need to at least be truthful.
You can be truthful and not trustworthy. Because like
Now,
you
now
can
you-
like steal and tell the truth about it, but like I still don't
Now
trust
that's
you.
true. That's true. You can be truthful and not trustworthy.
So I think
But you
trustworthy
can-
still belongs
but
there.
you can have that in there, but I don't think you can be a liar and be trustworthy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is true. Question,
Sure.
but because you happen to be a wife.
I happen to be a wife.
Yeah.
26 years now.
You see what I'm saying? That's so true.
It's been tough too. It's been tough.
Being a wife for 26 years has been tough. Yes.
Now you said if she's getting chubby, you know what I mean? You don't think that we should like kind of like a little, you know? No, you're not getting chubby.
No, tell the truth.
tell them the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Never lie at all. Don't even pretend. Tell them the absolute truth, because you can stop something that starts. All right.
Okay. I see where you went there.
He's saying it's a slippery slope. So if
It's
you
a
don't tell her
slippery
now,
slope.
then the next thing you know is 20 more pounds.
Absolutely. And this is coming from,
Experience.
a husky hunter.
He's big game hunting.
So there is a limit with husky too. After that, you start getting.
How do you come up with these husky hunter?
Why do I have to come up with it?
Let's write that one down.
I say, that should go in there. That should go in there. First of all, I do want to say somebody just gave me some good news. I know I'm jumping, blah, I'm having a good time. You just gave me some great news about a family member. But we can't put that out yet? I just felt that was great. But okay, cool.
You're still good.
Well, I would take it on right quick. It's been a journey in this adulthood, adulting. It's been a journey, and getting to this point, sometimes we get upset when things don't go our way. We get upset when things don't come as fast as we want them to come. And the best thing about things not coming how you want it is because you have no idea how it's going to come, and when it comes, it's going to feel so much more special. We've been trying to get pregnant for a moment. Me and my wife, since her 30th birthday, she wanted to wait till she was 30 to begin trying again. Typical. And we waited. So when she turned 30, boom, kicking down the door. We're trying. Well, those here. We're kicking down the door. We're focused. We're making it happen. And what happened? And a bunch of things happened. And at the same time, we was also trying to get a home. A lot of things was not happening. We had losses. We had some things happen, and it just did not come how we wanted to come. It was really it really took a toll on our relationship. It just took a toll on us. It was really, really hard. People expect us to be, happy and bubbly, but it was really hard, But we kept pressing. We kept praying as a family. We kept, walking, and not only did she get pregnant coming into the year, we ended up getting our home just back to back.
Yes.
The last thing was I knew just as a man, and I don't know if a lot of men may understand this, when you're raised by a woman and you haven't had that relationship with your father, the one thing you tell yourself is, wait till I get my son.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I should, whatever I feel like should have been done for me. So you wait. So I have my daughter, and I love my daughter. My daughter is nothing but just another me. So being a parent to her been easy, but I knew I had to come to this God, will I get where I just have been wanting? And yesterday I already knew what I was going to get, but I was happy to find out that we are having a boy. So Boy dad, yeah. Yeah.
You gonna have meatballs at your baby shower?
We will have meatballs just because of you. I definitely told Ted. I said somebody told me about meatballs.
I only come to baby showers for meatballs.
That's horrible. The baby just don't have nothing to do with it.
I mean, I'm gonna bring a gift. I don't come empty-handed, but
So is it a transaction for meatballs?
in a way,
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. And just to see, he's a big one. He's a chubby one.
congratulations.
You know what I mean? So I'm definitely happy. That's happening. But
He's gonna be Auntie Junior, right?
he is going to be a junior. I don't want to say junior. I don't like the junior. I don't like the DJs and the AJs. I want to call them dudes, but I want to be like the second. I don't like the juniors.
LJ is the second.
Huh?
And my little brother's the second. He's James Arthur Williams the second.
Yeah, that works because you can go in your own world and be you. But when you junior, everybody just want to know how senior doing. You know what I mean? You I can never. I don't want to tell my daddy, but I don't want to hit that to be a thing. You know what I mean? So.
But you want him to give him his name. You want him to have your name.
My wife want him to have my name. I'm one of them people that I want you to have your own thing going. I want to help you be you, not another version of me. Mm-hmm. But she wanted it. I named the daughter, so she names the son. So we can call him Deuce, and he's gonna look like a Samoan. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. He's
I
yours.
have custom shirts that say Deuce.
I feel that way because apparently we're the extra couple, right? Yeah, you get all that good stuff. But just like I'm saying this just as a man, we have a hard time waiting for things to happen. We put a lot of extra pressure on us, and the reason I'm focusing on the men on this because somebody brought this to my attention and I looked it up. Suicide rates for black men is rising at an all-time high, which is true. Threw me off. Like people are just men are just getting out of here. Like they just cashing out quickly. And you'd be shocked. Like it's in all ages. Like it's teenagers, 20s. And there's a lot in 30s and 40s, which is shocking. Like 30s and 40s that are checking out. And, we don't really talk to anybody. And I don't know if anybody ever really, have you guys been around any men and have seen a change over time with how men express themselves?
Absolutely.
Like, have you guys seen, if you were like Ricardo, I know you talked about this a long time ago.
Right.
And you said that you was talking to people and men just had a hard time connecting.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when a person commits suicide, anybody, they succumb to hopelessness, right? So they get to the place where there's no hope, this can't get better, so the only way to fix this is to just be gone, right?
Yeah.
And so I firmly believe that there's a lot of reasons for it, right? But that ain't really what you're asking. But I do think there's a lot of reasons for it. And
You can go there.
well,
you can go there as well.
See, check this out. As black people, we've always had a specific group of problems that follow us as black people.
That is true.
Right? It's a particular group of issues that we have that for a long time were exclusive to us.
Mm-hmm.
There were issues that white people had that was in a large sense exclusive to them.
Mm-hmm.
But now things have changed. Things are changing, right? And so now we have the issues that we have to deal with as black people, but now we also have other issues that we typically maybe 3-4 generations ago didn't really have to deal with, right?
New issues.
So we have new issues, right? So in other words, I can't think of a better way to say this. So now we have white issues too, and we have our black issues. What I mean by that, right? So now so many of us are starting businesses now.
Yeah.
Right. So now we have this big bank account. Now we have these big homes and these large cars, and we have children that are expecting to go to these big colleges. And you look at how much it costs to go to college now.
And over 40,000.
Yeah, $40,000 a year to go to college. So all of these are pressures that you have. Now these are issues that certain segments of society have always had, right? But we didn't have those. We had our issues, but we still got our issues. But now that we're growing, we're coming up, and America is changing, we're adding those issues to the issues that we're already carrying. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, we're carrying the double load now. So you already got to carry the weight of being a black man, but now I'm a black man that's an executive, right? I'm not just a black man, but I'm the only black man on this board right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just a black man, but now I'm a black man, I'm a successful black man, and I'm trying to figure out why my son, even though he took all of those classes we had to pay money for in high school, and I know he has a really high GPA, is not getting accepted into Georgia.
Okay.
You feel me?
That was a little personal.
That was a little personal. No, but these are real issues though.
Yeah.
So Kim don't think about this kind of stuff, but I do. So my point is it's a combined building up of issues that we have now that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago. But this phenomenon of black men killing themselves really started around 1990. So in 1990, the suicide rate in black men doubled. Right, it didn't just increase by a little bit, it doubled in 1990. I remember that, that's when I graduated high school, right? But the suicide rate doubled in black men. Now, I heard something very interesting, is that now, first of all, in Georgia, 60% of the inmates in Georgia in state prison are black men. 30% are white, and I guess the rest are whatever. But 60% of the population of prison in the state prisons in Georgia are black men. Since 2001, the suicide rate in Georgia state prisons has increased by 85%. That's a lot of men dying, right?
In prison.
In prison, right? So now you got to think about this too. I believe that the numbers were 36% of the population is black.
Of Georgia, the state.
In Georgia, about 36% of the population is black in Georgia, right? And so that means about 61%, I think it was, of the population is white in Georgia, okay? But look at the numbers. Only 36% of us in the state are black, but 60% of us in the prisons are black. That's a lot of brothers going to jail.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of brothers going to jail, and so that adds another place of pressure. So which means that you have fatherlessness, right? Which means you have cats growing up with dads that are incarcerated. So all of these issues combined. But yeah, I've seen the difference. So it is a not talking situation, but it's like when you just used to struggle, when you're used to everything being tough, used to everything being hard, and people telling you that it's just part of life and you're just supposed to deal with it, you don't talk. When I was in the prison, last thing I'm saying, I'm gonna pass the mic, but we were ministering at the jail a couple of weeks ago, and this guy, he said he had 7 years left. He already served 3, and he said that, so that's 10, right? My math's right. Now, if he get 10 years, he did something. Yeah. And he specifically said 10 years was good for what he did. I didn't ask him what he did because I don't want to know what he did. I don't even want that in here. But he said, but for what he did, 10 years was good. So if 10 years was good for what he did, he killed somebody. But check it out what he said though. He said, but Pastor, I have no regrets. I have no regrets about anything in my life. Everything happens for a purpose and I have no regrets. So as men, we taught this foolishness. There should be some regrets. There's some people that you hurt. There's some people that you let down. Right now, your mama is somewhere crying because her son's going to be gone for the next 10 years. There should be some regrets. But see, as black men, we're taught this foolishness in our minds, right? That it's just so hardcore. It's so tough. I'm just a brick wall. Can't nothing get through me because a real man, don't nothing get to a real man. And that's ludicrous because you're a human. You're black, but you're a human being. So there's a lot of reasons to it.
I want to say, I think that it's advertised more so when it comes to like the so-called black man. He is supposed to be like this superhero figure who's supposed to be able to pull himself up, by his own bootstraps all the time, emotionless and whatnot. So, I just think just the media kind of sways that so much that, we put in, a lot of kids are put in front of the TV and they kind of grow up off of that image, but I definitely agree with you though.
Yeah, it is that is true. It does seem like it was advertised. Like when you look at them shows, that what a man at, like, even if he's on the show, he don't be like nowhere near like the emotional, but like, what I'm saying? Like, it's no, like, even the Cosby Show, everybody loved the Cosby Show.
Right.
When you think about it though, Bill Cosby he never did anything that was like an emotional connection with the kids. And I don't even think nobody thought that way. I don't even think no one was like, hey man, wish I had you crying with Theo. You know what I mean? Like that never came up. Like if you think about it, we all remember the bat scene and I
brought you in the world.
I take you out. We love that part. But it was never somebody said this in church. Out of all the American dads, it have never been on TV that a dad prayed with his family.
No.
And somebody said it on church, and I was just like, wow. I'm thinking like, hold on, Carl Winslow, no, Banks, no. Huh?
House of Pain?
Uncle Curtis.
Oh, I guess you.
CJ prayed with his son when Janine, I've been keeping those with Janine,
Yeah.
like in the flight, and they thought she couldn't find her. But that's about it.
That is a message show. I stopped watching after the second relapse. I can't do it. This must be a sitcom.
Yeah.
This is a drama, but I would take it. Tyler Perry, you got to get what you can get out of Tyler Perry. Whatever you can get out of him. Ladies, do you have anything to add as far as black men committing suicide, and what do you feel? And I don't want to take away and say women doesn't have a hard time. Definitely don't want to say that. I definitely don't want to say women is not going through things. But I do want to say, do you think it's a difference? So I want to ask, do you have anything to add as far as what Pastor Rose said and what Kid Money said? And do you think that women deal with things either better or just differently?
I think that emotionally, women are just wired that way.
Say better, right?
Right.
Okay.
And like generationally, it's gotten better. Because I can say even for my grandmother, she said like my mother was not affectionate with me.
Okay.
So like when I go home to visit, I have to like tell her like, bring it in. We're hugging.
Yeah.
This is happening. You know what I mean? But it's not natural for her to do that. She's admitted that. It's not natural for her when we hang up to say, hey, I love you. You know what I mean? She admitted she's working on that. So like generationally, we've gotten a lot better. But I think it just comes from, I mean, it's cliche to say, but it's true. Like all the way back to slavery. You know what I mean? We've learned to be stoic. We've learned to be emotionally detached from a lot of situations. And so when you're talking about black men and fatherlessness and learning how to be men from your friends, from school, from the streets, gangs, that sort of a thing, I mean, you're going to grow up confused. You're going to grow up, not being able to maintain a relationship. You're gonna, you know what I mean? Like all of that is kind of a domino effect. But I think women, in terms of us, we're just wired differently. So
Y'all talk.
right,
Yeah.
You gonna tell her what you want to hear tonight.
Y'all be on the phone.
yeah.
I ain't too mad at that. Don't get the same from you. Oh, you can choose between mics. Got
I
yours.
definitely agree that as women we are wired differently, and I think like if I break out and cry somewhere, like ain't nobody gonna look at me like what you crying for. Like
This
that's
is
just
true.
that's just that.
That's a great point.
But like me growing up, me and my brother, he was the crier, I wasn't. So my mom, she was overly affectionate with my brother, and then with me, like she was very hard, but she felt like she had to be hard on me because I was a black woman, and she felt like she had to love on Trey a little bit harder because our dad situations were different. So it's like, so for me, like with Kiara, like when my mom would try to hug me, I was like, girl, get off me. Like, move, chick. Or she be like, I love you. I be like, yeah, I know. So like now, like I'm like, Mom, yeah, I do love you. But like far as black men, I also think that like you as a friend should hold your friend accountable.
Ooh.
Like if you know that your homeboy don't take care of his child because of some petty stuff, you need to be like, bro, that ain't cool. So you telling me if she can go down and file child support, you can go down there and file for your rights. If she can go and get WIC, Medicaid and all that and take time to do that, you can go do it for that. It's like, do you not love your child enough to do that? And I feel like it's not enough friends that hold their friends accountable. So it's like, yeah, like if you know your friend is struggling with depression, how about you go encourage your friend to go see a therapist? Let's call the back of your insurance card. Let's go take our mental health serious because that's the root of it. There's nothing wrong with going to see a therapist. And I also believe that black men should go see a black male therapist because they can relate to them. So you as a friend, if you see your friend is struggling, be that support for them. Be a good friend. That's just my take.
I want to say this too.
She said some good stuff in there.
She kind of took a little fire.
Yeah.
If you take a child, you take a 10-year-old boy, right? If you take a 10-year-old child, let's say a white child, for example, and he's crying. No, what's wrong? I don't know. He's just crying. He can't get it together. They're gonna get that child some help. They're gonna hug that child. They're gonna probably love that child. And they're gonna do what they have to do to figure this thing out. But 10-year-old black boy, he just started crying in the morning. He just wake up crying. In the afternoon, the teacher calling home because he just won't stop crying. 9 times out of 10, what's going to be told to that boy? You better man up.
Something to cry about.
I'm gonna give you something to cry about. You better man up. And see, so what's going? I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Obviously, I got something to cry about. Mama, I'm crying, right? But it's that thing. It's that. I don't know if it's just ignorance or if it's just denial when it comes to mental illness. When we don't call it what it is. Listen. If the child is already in a depressed state and feeling low and bad about himself, punching him in the chest to make him not cry is not going to help him not cry. The only thing that's going to do is reinforce to him that violence and aggression is a way to deal with your feelings. And you know what? You deserve to get hit. You're supposed to. Your life's supposed to be hard, and that's the biggest lie. Your life is not supposed to be this difficult. It's not supposed to be like this, right? And see, a lot of I'm going too far, but a lot of things that we call white privilege is real. But a lot of times, what we call white privilege is them understanding that they're supposed to have a good life.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a good family. They're supposed to own a home. They're supposed to have a good career. They're supposed to live in a community where everybody ain't kicking in the back door and shooting each other. it's a knowing that good things are supposed to happen in my life. And so we call some of that white privilege, but it's just a knowing. That's why I always say kingdom privilege is better than any kind of privilege.
That's right.
So if you understand your kingdom privilege, when you look in the mirror, you see something great every single time because you know who you belong to. And see now, what's public enemy number one? The church and the pastors. Right, so at least there was a place for black men to go after we broke all the way down. We can go to church and we can try to get into the word, but now it's like the word is being spat upon.
Why we all in
The word is being spat upon.
I want to know how to spell words.
Churches look down upon. You know, all of this stuff is now looked down upon. So where does this man go? You know, when he's going through, where does he go? Where does his help come from?
Now I agree. I'm gonna go to Jamisha. I'm gonna put you on the spot of everything like that you heard. If you can give your opinion on anything that stood out to you.
Honestly, I think two things is one, for like she said, everything is being taught, you know what I'm saying, like from your upbringing, and two is your safe space. None of us have a safe space to the point where we're comfortable enough to voice our opinions or voice our feelings or to go to that person and say, hey, I'm struggling with something. Nobody gives each other that safe space anymore to be vulnerable. I think that's what not men and women lack at. You know what I'm saying? Because I know for me, like, my friends, they come to me because I give them that safe space. But because I know that they're going through so much, I don't feel like I can reciprocate that safe space because they're already going through 10,000 things. I can't load on my stuff because they're already putting so much on me. You know what I'm saying? But still, I'm going to always provide that safe space because at the end of the day, I know I got me. I know God got me. So it's like, it's that safe space, but also too, like he was saying, how like a 10-year-old child could be crying and a mother would be like, no, man up, instead of asking, why are you crying? Why do you feel like you have to cry about this type of situation? And if it's a situation to the point where we can talk it out, then okay, I'm going to explain to you why you don't have to cry and how you can move forward. But if you acting bad, then you're going to get that butt whooped. That's a different thing, but it's that safe space to make a person feel comfortable enough to have a voice. Everybody's light is dimming down before our eyes and we don't realize that. So of course the rhyme rate, because honestly, I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling with trying to find my voice when everybody's piling their stuff on me, and I don't have that safe space with anybody. But I'm going through stuff just as well. You know what I'm saying? But the only person I feel like I can talk to is God. And I want to also say too, God's not going to put anything more on you than you can bear. So I feel like sometimes people take their situation and use that as an excuse not to push through and not to fight or not to find that hope, not to find that faith, not to be better than what they are, not try to get themselves out of there. Everybody's literally going through a situation. Everybody. Life is hard. No, there's no guidance, there's no rule book, there's no cheat way to life, there's none of that. So we're all trying to figure this out. So if anything, we just need to be, like you said, be more accountable for each other. Like, I know you're going through a lot, so maybe you should go. And we not, especially for black men. Like, a black man can't go to his homeboy and be like, hey man, I'm really going through a lot. He gonna be looking at him like, I don't care.
Let me give you this.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, dang bro, I feel you, bro, like, I'm here, you need to talk to me. It's not that. Nobody has that safe space anymore, and I think that's what we need to kind of install on each other so we can all hold each other accountable.
I'm going to tell you what most men do, which is weird. I'm going to swing it to Kim Rose, then Kid Money, sorry. Men, like, not matter of fact, everybody do this, which I can't stand this one friend that compare pain. That is what I noticed. Like, when you go to somebody, you tell them your feelings. Man, I'm feeling blue. I'm feeling black. Like, you know, I ain't getting nowhere. Like, who listen to who? And you know, I always tell people, as much as people watch TV, as much as people watch reality TV, because reality TV does not have a full strip that these people read off of, they have to learn social cues. So what they have to do is they have a storyline. The other person have a storyline, and they have to sit there and say, what's going on with you? But they have to read for this person to talk. Then they go, man, so what's going on with you? Oh man, what's going on with me? It's such and such. But I think for men, that's a great way to start communicating, like learning social cues. You don't have, we don't have to do the wait and exhale type thing. If that's not us, cool. But we can make it a little, like they're showing us play ball, then stop, and then talk. You know, like talk to each other. Like you won't guess how much somebody's going through. Kim Rose, what you feeling?
Well, number one, I love everything all the ladies said.
Just the ladies. Just what the ladies said.
Only because they were the last ones. I appreciate everything that everyone has said.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to throw no shade on anybody. I appreciate all of it.
Because my pastor's closest to you. I just didn't put it out there. He was the closest.
Rough, 26 years. Tough.
But I think what it is, I think, first of all, it's complex, and every time someone says something, I could hear my mind saying, "Yeah, but," right. And so, or "Yeah, but that's not mine." I had this and that, and I agree with you, Ante, that oftentimes we start comparing. It's like, especially to the older generation to the younger generation. What you mean you tired? You only got one kid. I had 5 kids all by myself, and I had to work 3 jobs. And how you gonna be tired? You ain't tired. I'll tell you what tired is. And there's a lack of understanding and the ability to emote and to feel someone's pain. It doesn't matter where it falls on the scale. Right now, it's too much for her.
Right.
She feels like this is too much. Now, I will say this. I believe we have raised a generation of people who don't have emotional fortitude. At the same time, I feel like in our community, the only...
I'm so sorry. Just break that down. You gotta remember your vocabulary is up here. So break down emotional...
fortitude.
Okay, you can break it down for me. I'm so sorry.
Yes, so they emotionally are weak.
Yeah.
They don't know how to control their emotions, and the only emotion that is acceptable is anger and rage, right? So you can be as mad as you want, and we can accept that, right? But like you guys have already said, but a young boy can't cry because we can't accept that. But he can be mad at his teacher, right? He can be mad at the other kids on the block, but he can't cry. He can't come home and cry because he was being made fun of. No, you got to go out and you got to fight. Right? And so violence is acceptable, being angry is acceptable, but being vulnerable is not acceptable, and that safe space, like you said, has to be found. And I don't want to minimize the fact that you said that the only person you have is God, because God truly is enough. But he didn't put us on this planet to be alone. Right? And so there is a person that you can reach out to, and that there is somebody in your life that you can be open and vulnerable to. You just have to ask him for the eyes to see who that person is, because he didn't put you down here to be alone, right? And to struggle through things throughout your life, to be alone. And I believe that that's part of what we're seeing, is that we have removed ourselves from God being a part of our everyday life and us living for him. We want, if our life gets rough, then we want to dismiss him because he's not doing what we want. He's not making my life look like what I want it to, so I don't need him because he's not doing what I'm asking for him to do. And so we've dismissed God's ability to be powerful and to help us through our lives by diminishing his role in our lives, his role in our society, and we've mixed and mingled. And that goes back to the previous conversation we had the last time about mixing all of these different religions and all these thoughts and beliefs, right? And so I think if we can learn to understand people and to see people for where they are, that the safe places will be made, that children will grow up understanding how to have a little bit more control over their emotions, and this is important, I think. And then I'll be quiet. God gave us all of our emotions, the sadness, the anger, the grief. Grief is important, right? There's a place where the enemy can take it and make it something really dark, but grief is important to go through. Happiness and joy, All of those things are part of our makeup, right? But everything has to be disciplined. I mean, all of my acronyms are being used: accountability, the discipline, the understanding. All of that is part of this, and so I just really feel like we have to examine ourselves, examine the way we see ourselves in our society, and just be better, and not make excuses for our generations, the generations before us, and just be better as adults right now.
All right, and just again, guys, in case you just tuning in, we're talking about the rise of suicide rate in, I would say, black communities, but but like we're mostly focusing on black men taking themselves out. I think you're supposed to say unlive. I think that's what they want you to say when you're on. Unlive. Yeah, he unlived himself. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. That's the new thing.
That's the
you get your guidelines and new words, and it's certain things that you can't say. So in the percentage of black men unliving themselves is the proper way to say that without getting your video took down. Kid Money, you want to go ahead and wrap us up, and I'm also going to swing here, and because I got my guy just walked in.
What's up, Darnell?
Shining.
And then I'm going to make about Darnell actually after Kid, if you don't mind.
No problem.
It's important.
Okay. Kids, are you?
I believe him. I'm letting you know right now, I believe him. But and the question was about the rise.
Yeah. If you want to sum up everything you heard, and also
yeah. Oh yeah, what everybody was. Well, it's crazy because like I think that's, I don't even want to say I know for a fact that's how I just came into the power of God. Is everything that y'all are talking about now. It's like when you have people, or like y'all was just saying, like men that grow up like that, and they're able to emerge and they're able to just see the dang, I grew up like that and I survived. Yeah. It's like you get this proud feeling of like, wow. And just like we were saying, we live our life comparatively, and it's just amazing. That's when it's kind of hard to say the things I'm trying to say, because not every man is me.
Right.
And
right.
So that's good. And the reason why I'm saying that is, it's like a lot of times a lot of men do grow up that way and they don't find God, and a lot of times they end up going deep down, like they end up falling. And I hate to see that. And the reason why I'm wrapping it up like this, just because it's kind of like a testimony in a sense. You see, it's like I started learning what people's roles in life were for my life and others people's lives, right? So I started noticing that, just like y'all were saying, who does the boy have to run to ask questions or to speak to? I always acknowledge that, and I always try to be the person that can be that you can talk to. Mm-hmm. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is just that everything y'all said was true, but it's just so crazy that it's like I figured that out at like a young age, like, and like I said, that comes from God, but it's weird. I can't really fully explain it, but I rather just give a shout out to the men out there that's going through things, because I've never thought about suicide. I've always felt like I have a purpose in life, and my purpose isn't for myself, it's for others. So that's always been my thing. If I take myself away, then I've taken away a lot of things for other people, when it comes to me. But that's beautiful. It for me.
No, I respect that. We're finna go to Pastor Wells and get Darnell to step up real quick. I don't know what he's gonna say to you.
Well, I wanted to use him as an example. And the scripture says that there are many teachers, but there are few fathers, right? So there's a difference. So there are many teachers, but there are few fathers. Another scripture says, houses and riches are from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Okay, so what does that mean? That's saying that your houses and your riches are supposed to come from your father, right? So if you didn't have a father, okay, So now you're starting from a deficit. Or if you had a father that didn't give you houses and riches, now you're starting from a deficit. So you ask God to give you this prudent wife, so he gives you this wife. Now you're doing everything you can to give this wife houses and riches, but you're not prepared, you're not equipped. So you're starting upside down. So the fatherlessness in our communities are causing us to start upside down. Because listen, it said God didn't put the responsibility on himself. He said houses and riches are from fathers. So I'm supposed to give my son houses and riches. I'm supposed to give him these things, houses and riches. So when God gives him a wife, he can bring that wife into a place where he's already able to care for her, right? That wasn't the point. The point is this. Now, it said there are many teachers, right? But that's important too. There's many teachers, but few fathers, right? What we have to learn as men, we have to learn how to identify, as Kim said, a father-like one that we can pull from, that we can receive from, and that we can just reach inside of them and get the virtue and the nature of God out of that man. So I use Darnell because Darnell will call me and say, hey, Pastor Don, I'm just thinking about something. And we'll talk on the phone for a long time. He's just asking me questions, right? So I didn't say, there's a difference. I didn't say, hey, Darnell, I think you got the anointing on you. You need to be my son. I'm going to be your spiritual father. So you need to send me $50 every week to go to. You understand what I'm trying to say here? Yeah. There's a difference between saying, I'm your father, I'm going to dominate and control you. The difference between that and you seeing something inside of another man and you saying, hey, I want some of what you got. I want some of the nature, some of the virtue, and some of the God that's on the inside of you. And I'm going to come to you. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to pick your brain. When I'm feeling something, when I'm going through something, I'm going to call you and I'm going to pour my heart out to you. Why? Because I have identified you as someone that's worthy and trustworthy of my feelings and my emotions, right? And you do the same thing. Not to quite to the degree as Darnell, but you do the same thing. You just call, hey, man, I was thinking about something. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? And that's important. And as black men, we don't do that, because real talk, there's not a whole lot of cats available that qualify for this.
Absolutely.
You need to be more than just saved. Right. You really do. You need to be more than just financially successful. Right. But if you're blessed enough to identify that cat, you got to cling to that cat. You got to cling to that cat. And you got to pull out of him everything that you can. Remember the last thing. Remember the Apostle Paul said to Timothy. He said, Timothy, use the gift of God. He said, I know you got it because I laid my hands on you and gave it to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Paul said, I personally, and he called him his son in the spirit. He said, I personally laid my hand on you, and I prayed and released the gift of God that was on me to be on you. How many of us black folks do that? I did that Sunday. A little fellow was up there for prayer, and for some reason he's like my fan. I don't know why. The grown people don't like me that much, but the kids love me a whole lot. And so he'd be like, that pass it down like I'm on TV, like I'm a celebrity or something. And so I know he feel that way about me. So when he came up there, his grandma, whoever was praying with him, and I came over there and interrupted a little bit the prayer, and I just laid my hands on him. And I said, do you trust the gift that's in me? He said, yeah. I said, do you like them? He's a little kid, so I use kid terms. I said, do you like the God that's in me? He said, yeah. I said, I'm going to pray that the God that's in me would be in you. I said, do you want that? He was like, yeah, I want that. Oh. And so that's what I did. I just released the gift of God that's on me into his life. And see, that's how we get confidence. That's how we grow. There's some things I can't lean on my wife for. Something I can't lean on my mom for. Yeah. Make sense? Yeah. That's all I got.
That was good. That was very good.
So, you know the topic of suicide in black men. Yes. And then you can go off everything that Pastor just gave you. Okay, cool. He gave some good stuff.
Yeah, a lot. So basically, just to go over what Pastor Don just said, right there aren't a lot of safe spaces for black men, right? And especially men that are in the gospel, right? And so you have a lot of men who are looking for safe spaces, right? They're looking to express themselves, right? But the pressures from society, cultural norms, right? There just isn't that open door, right? And then on top of that, it's like, okay, when you do, can you actually trust them? Like, can I trust this man with my feelings, right? And not only that, but do they have the character, the integrity, to actually, pour out into me? there's not a lot of men in society that I would say I want something from. You know, like there just isn't a lot of role models, like if we're being honest. So it's like when you get in the presence of like of men that can actually have your back, it's like, man, go full force, right? And so in short, I think a major key in also being in graduate school to get my master's degree in counseling, a major component to suicide is just not having no outlet, right? That they've been showing the signs, but no one is close enough to see it, right? And it goes as far as they can actually go to a counselor, be having suicidal thoughts, but just know what to say so the counselor won't pick it up, right? And so us as community, right, like we have to lean on our brothers and our sisters really too, you know, to say like, hey, I'm hurting, right? Even if we can't express it to our sisters, like, hey, I'm hurting, I need help, right? In some kind of way, you know, just to get it out there. So yeah.
I definitely agree. Before I say what I want to say, I do want to be responsible when we're talking about this topic. They throw out a lot of numbers and stuff, you know, and you can find numbers and go to the nearest church close to you and all that good stuff. This is what I do recommend for certain people. Certain people, this may not work for all. But when in the beginning of trying to learn how to talk to other men about your problems, I recommend get a couple of female friends that's strictly platonic. You're not trying to make something happen. You just want to be friends. Here's the reason. Women have a thing with telling you what's going on if they trust you. And you don't learn to listen. It's something about it. It's just something about it. They just telling you about they blew a tire. And then you sitting here talking about the tire, then you start saying stuff like, well, I know somebody that can do it. And now you're learning how to listen. You're learning how to respond. And then once you get that, I'm telling you, it'll be a little bit easier to begin to find men. Now that you know how to express yourself, you'll be able to either find men that you don't need to talk to, and you know what I mean? I do believe that you'll find men without that you can, but I feel like we have, as men, even if we find somebody that we can talk to, we struggle with that pride thing of telling people how imperfect we are. Mm-hmm. And I do believe when you have female friends, again, strictly platonic, when you have female friends, women are great at telling you how awful they feel about themselves. I know that's, and I'm just being funny with it, but it's true. Like, they're good at telling you things that they're thinking, and you'll find yourself kind of becoming sympathetic. Like, okay, I didn't know this. Like, that's how you feel. Like, wow. But that'll start getting you working on how you feel about yourself, and you'll realize how many things that you have to work in. Like, people be having horrible stories about how they grew up, and they laugh about it. Like, again, like in the black community, we're horrible. We laugh at things that I found out as an adult was not a comedy movie.
Not funny.
The Color Purple wasn't a comedy.
No.
In my neighborhood, that was a comedy. We watched Friday, Lethal Weapon 4, Color Purple. That's the comedy. Like, and we laughed. Like, we laughed. She said she was ugly. You know what I mean? It was funny to us. We quoted it. So that, like, that showed me how disconnect we are from knowing how psychologically we're damaged. I don't even know if I said that right, but like, we have to view pain a little better. And I just ask, you know what I mean, my men, learn, you know, talk to yourself. Pray a little bit more. Don't just be a rock, man. A rock is gonna stay on the ground forever unless somebody throw it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, don't be hard. You know what I mean? So find somebody, find a way to, you know what I mean, talk. You know, they got hotlines where you can talk to people that you know. No, nobody do that, but try it. If there's anything anybody wanted to add before I go forth.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
So really quickly, the Bible says in Matthew 22:39, it says to love your neighbor as yourself. And so just going through like my own mental health, right? I've learned, okay, well, Jesus died. If I'm to love my neighbor as I love myself, the first focus is me loving me, right? Mm-hmm. And so now I know, okay, that the blood of Jesus is actually for my self-love, right? And so I actually have to spend time, just loving me. Like the church doesn't teach that at all, like self-love, right? But the biblical context, Jesus actually did it so that I could love myself and then express that same love to others, right? That's, yeah.
Because if you don't believe in you, you will be useless to Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
That's the truth. Because you could believe in him all day long. But the problem is if you don't believe in you, you're never going to do anything for him. You're never going to lay hands on that person that's sick. You're going to never cast that devil out, right? You're never going to go and speak the word to somebody else. Why? Because you believe in him, but you don't believe in you. You don't have enough. So now it affects the way you believe in him, because I believe in you, but I don't believe in me. So which means, why would you really love me that much? Why would you actually die for me? So now your faith is starting to dwindle down because of your self-image, right? And when you talk about adulting, it's the scripture said when I was a child, I thought as a child, I understood as a child, and I spoke as a child. Said, but when I became a man, I put childish things aside. So the first thing we have to do is we have to change the way we think. Our thinking has to elevate. You will never grow beyond the way that you think. I don't care who you is. I didn't say are, I said is. I don't care who you is. You will never grow beyond the way that you think.
Yes.
And then your understanding. That's why in all my get understanding. Your understanding has to be at a particular level, and your understanding has to grow. And the things that come out of your mouth at some point have to start changing, because these are the things that affect our self-image and the way other people see us as well, right? It's the way we think. We have to change the way that we think, and the only way to change the way we think is to put something else in our mind, something other than what we already got.
New information.
We got to get new information in our heads.
Got to.
And you do that by clinging, not just in books, but it's by, again, clinging to people that's walking where you want to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, real quick. I just want to piggyback on something that Darnell said. As soon as you said it, it sparked something in me. This is sparkles and fairy dust when he said it. But Jesus was the master of self-help, of helping himself, of taking care of himself. Anytime he spent time pouring out to other people, what did he do after that?
You wouldn't pray.
To a solitary place. He would get up early in the morning and walk miles away from everybody else.
Solitude.
In solitude. And get with God. God never told him, you praying too much. You staying away too much. God is always going to invite you into that. That's always going to be your safe place. And whenever you feel burdened and heavy, whether it's with your own stuff or other people's stuff, number one, God didn't, he told us the weak to bear the infirmities of the weak. I mean, the strong to bear the infirmities of the weak, right? But not to just keep carrying it.
Yeah.
But the point is to carry it to him. When somebody's too weak to get to God, sometimes they're emotionally too weak, they can't pray. And I've been there. You're just so weak, you can't pray, you can't sing, you're not trying to hear any of that stuff. All you can do is cry and be pitiful, right? And all of us have gone to that place. And so you have somebody that comes in and they will undergird you. They pick up that, they try to help you carry that burden to God. They don't need to be picking it up and carrying it for themselves. You're supposed to be carrying that to the Lord and then leaving it. Right? I hear what you're saying. I'm going to try to encourage you. I'm going to pray for you, and I'm going to leave that with God because he's big enough to take care of it. Right? And so, but we have to realize that's where our strength is going to come from. That's where our rest comes from, because we get the strategy of the enemy is to wear out the saints. He want to wear us out. Right? And so we have to find a place of rest. And rest is not just sitting up watching Netflix or scrolling. What's it called? An endless scroll. But
is it the endless?
But and so it's more than that. That rest is the same rest that Jesus got, right? And so we just have to we have to use all of the resources that are afforded to us. Number one is we have to feed our spirits more. We have to be spiritual. We have to realize when we're physically depleted, our souls are angry or feeling somehow depleted as well. It's probably because we're not feeding our spirits either. And so we've got to get back into that.
Okay.
Man, I heard some good things, man. I heard safe space. I heard it's like praying in solitude and meditating the same.
No,
Very different. Okay,
I mean, you can meditate in your solitude.
Yeah. But praying is two different things. So praying in solitude, that's very important. Putting something new in your head, doing things new information. I heard all those. Work on finding new circles. All those, reading, all those good things that we can do to make sure that we improve our mental health, our mental space, emotional. You know all the good. We're talking some good adulting tips. So you stand on board.
Let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Why do you think Jesus had no stress? Because he was Jesus, okay. But he also had no stress. Here's why, from a human level. He had no stress. This is why. He only said what the Father told him to say. He only did what the Father told him to do.
Put nothing new in his life.
Nothing. Even the Holy Spirit. It said the Holy Spirit will only speak what he hears. From who? From Jesus and from the Father. So here's my point. If the Master, that's why he had no stress. Because he only spoke what the Father told him. He only did.
He only healed the people he told him.
That's it. So here's my question for us men. What are we speaking? What is our Father telling us?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because who has the right to tell you to stop? As a man, as a grown man, I can ask the men in this room, who has the right? Does anybody have the right to tell you, you know what, man, you need to sit down and don't do that no more? Who has the right to tell you what to do? Most of us don't give anybody that right. You don't give anybody that authority. You don't have the right to tell me to stop. There are people in my life that got the right. I have given them the right to call me and say, Don, you need to stop and cease. What you're doing, it needs to quit.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to quit it now. I've given them that authority. But that's when you do that, though, that's when that stress leaves. When you have a father and that father says, do this. The father says, go there. And you have that confidence. Why? Because my Father told me to do it. Mm-hmm. And some of our natural fathers ain't got a lick of sense, so it ain't always got to be our natural fathers. But it's men that could be spiritual fathers to us.
Natural fathers.
Amen.
All right, guys. I like we want to have a little fun right now, right quick, real quick, right now, right now. Just a little, But since they say I don't, since they say I'm not edgy when you guys come on. I think I'm always edgy, but it's okay. But they say you pancakes. You know what I mean? But it's okay. All right. Would you rather, in a relationship or a marriage, be with no sex or no love? Neither? Oh, I was going to say, whoa.
If I had to choose, I would choose to just have no love than have no sex. If I had to choose.
That's interesting because men view love differently than women.
I'm not saying I'm right.
That's an interesting thing because men view love differently. Like, love is different. But why you say?
Well, because there's some things only my wife can give me. My mama can love me. My sisters can love me. I had sex with Kim.
You thought about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it.
That was good. I got you what to say.
There's only one person on earth that I can have sex with, and that's my wife. Like for the rest of my life, like forever, right?
That's real.
Forever. So I mean, I can talk to Darnell. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never called. I call Money on the phone. Like, what's going on? You all right? And we can talk. Maybe get cheeseburger or something. I don't know. But I can only do certain things with this one.
Right.
So you can have a relationship without love.
Now, with that being said, I think the question itself is kind of what it is, but
he's saying your question not right.
I didn't say that. The question is the question's not balanced.
It's not, because honestly, I'm not going into a marriage if the love is not there, and I'm not being in a relationship if the sex ain't good.
I love it. I love your honesty, but this is why I disagree. Not balanced. I think this is a great question. How we view love? Like, do we feel like we're supposed to be head over heels in every relationship for it to work? Because sometimes certain people, when they go head over heels, they sometimes sabotage the relationship. And but when you there's certain people that I know that have told me their marriage had worked through the years, because they was in love, but they also love themselves to behave a certain way. Because if you fall in deep love, that's when she mess up or he mess up, then you end up doing something wrong because you just can't even think without this person. Yeah, that's just the point, though.
I got a question.
Did you raise your hand? But that was the
He
funny
raised his
part.
hand.
He came out. I know.
Well, I do want to know. I do want to know a little bit.
He's in school.
He noticed the chill out, man. Y'all look.
It's the fact that you
Look,
end up all the way
look.
to the top. You ain't
My first compliment of today.
I think I like the color and everything. It's definitely.
Is that burgundy or eyes?
yes.
Y'all better stop your mess. I ain't even trying to have a conversation.
Go ahead, Money. I'm listening. They not listening, but I'm.
Now I can't look y'all in the face while I say this. But well, I do have a question though. Does anybody have kids?
Yes.
Anyone? Okay. Do you love your kids more than you love the man who produced them?
He don't went far now.
That's a good question though.
Interesting question for Key.
Pass it or you can take it.
So, look, I also want y'all to realize this question is not deferring from the original point. It's gonna tie into something.
Well, I don't want to tell y'all too much of my business, but do I love my child more? At this point in our relationship, I say yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'm glad
But
you
it's
said
about
that.
covenant. The word there is it's the C word here though. Covenant.
Anybody else got kids?
We got
We got kids. We got kids. Everybody got kids.
She was gonna give me the answer I wanted.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 out of 4.
Right.
There you go.
So can I answer this question?
Yes.
I'm not having sex with somebody I don't love.
Okay.
So
That's what she said.
yeah, I mean I agree.
That was
I
cool, right?
agree that I really need both of them. I mean, I know people get into loveless marriages and they have sex, but do they really like it? I mean, seriously. I mean, if you
What do when you hit 60 and it don't work? No.
exactly. What if I get, what if I'm in a wheelchair and I can't? You know what I'm saying? And so,
So like you choose love is what you're saying?
absolutely, I would absolutely choose love over
such-
sex.
There's two different generations in the room because the one who chose the one that sounds like it makes more sense.
We're in the same.
Both married and they chose two different.
I understood which one she was going to choose. It's about the love.
Yeah.
That was saying but I'm saying to your point, generation doesn't matter because they both chose two different.
I understood where he was coming with love, what he was saying, what he meant by the word love. He was actually changing the word love differently.
You trying
Talk
to
to
read
me.
into what
Hold
he
up.
said? He said exactly what he meant.
See, that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
Listen how he explained it. Listen how he explained it.
Let's talk to me.
It's just like this. If a girl say, "Do you love me?" and I say, "I love pizza," that's exactly the way he explained it. I love pizza. I love a car. He used love that way interchangeably. He ain't talking about the love that you guys are talking about, which is falling in love.
Right.
He's just talking about love.
Oh, that's why you said my question is unbalanced.
That's right. Yep.
Look at you.
Well,
Because there's ways you can go into it. Because I was thinking the same thing. Like, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? If I'm in love with somebody, I'm going to show all types of affection to that person. You know what I'm saying? So if no sex is not going to be a thing. But I'm not even thinking about marriage if I'm not in love with that person. But a relationship, I mean, I'm in a...
Don't
That's been a lot of stuff. Did she talk without talking? Did she not talk at all?
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a relationship type of person. I mean, I think I am, but I'm not. I think because once I'm in that relationship, I'm fully in. I'm fully invested.
So you say dating, but like you're not a dating type of person. Yeah. Okay.
Relationship, if it's just more of a relationship, I don't care about the love, honestly. Because that's not more so like, it all depends on our dynamic of the understanding of what we have going on. But if it's a marriage, then yeah, I would choose love with that. But if it's just a relationship, love is my friends and stuff. But you can come give me some if you want to.
Hey, you just like you just shot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
You trying to say something?
I know. I was listening. My bad. There's a phrase. I'm not gonna contribute that phrase to myself. I wish I owned this phrase, but there's a phrase that a woman you see where it starts?
Yes.
Goodness.
You finna come for us. He is.
A woman can't love the only person that a woman can love more than herself is her child. No one else.
Oh, that's
no
not
one
true.
else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
Ladies,
See, look, no.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
See,
I'm gonna go to.
That's definitely not true. I think that's a matter of perspective and how you enter into your relationship with
Follow
your
the
spouse and with your child. I mean, I knew going into I got a bonus baby, so I already entered into my marriage with a child, right? But when we got married, it was with the understanding that our children are given to us by God to steward them for a very short period of time, right? But our goal is to create men and women of God, send them into the world so that they can affect the kingdom of God, right?
That's that covenant,
Right, they're with us for a very short period of time. That's our job, and then they go away. At the end, and just like my child never comes home from college. I'm surprised he's home now, right? And so if I only loved him and couldn't love this man, I would be miserable right now, right?
Yeah.
Because Jonathan is doing his thing. He is living his best life away from our house, right? And so if I don't have love for him, then I'm just living with a roommate, right? I'm
And sex.
with sex. And don't forget that. With benefits. But it's like, but our relationship had to be more than about the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
There has to be more than about the kids, and I absolutely love my husband. I don't think it's a more or less. I don't think there's a scale. it's different.
Yeah.
I love our kids differently than I do my
Hey,
husband.
I just want to say something real quick.
Did you see him move up?
No, this is important. I just want to say this real quick.
Yes, sir.
Real quick.
Look, we ain't got to live here. I just want to say this. And now listen. Now I'm going to now when I talk about sexual relations, I'm talking in terms of marriage, right? I'm talking in terms of covenant, right?
Yes, sir.
The way the Bible said you're supposed to do it. Okay. I just want to say this real quick.
Say it real quick.
I just need women to understand. We always talk about good sex and a man does this and a man does that. A man got to have so much of whatever. And he got to be able to know how to do this and know how to do that. It's like there's an assumption amongst women that automatically,
Because they lay down.
because they're women, that what they're doing is good.
Yeah.
It's like this assumption that automatically
If I had a button, you would have got it.
that this man
Yeah.
is enjoying what you putting out, right?
Virtue of you just being there.
I just want to put this out for all the men in the world. It sounds like an old R&B song. All the lovers in the world. Now look, I just want to say, it's
I'm not running behind you, but I do understand one thing. I think most women struggle. Not most, some women. Let me be fair. I think some women, most, struggle with intimacy, and then they go into sex thinking, long as they're like athletic, that they're doing great things. But
or because that man finished, somehow they did something.
or it's a job. It's just a job.
Yeah, it's a job.
That's all I'm doing. I'm just here for a moment.
Yeah. And the way you fix that is you have to talk. And again, I'm talking in covenant. I'm talking covenant now.
I like
This is part of, men and women have to have sexual conversations.
Yeah.
Y'all got to talk about this thing. And because here's the thing, I'm telling you, because right now, I could throw a rock out the front door, and there's some woman talking about, girl, and he ain't all this, and if he don't know how to bam, and he can't boom boom, I ain't got girl, whatever. And she ain't thinking about the last person that she had some relations with. That's like, wow, she was really sorry. that was really terrible. And so when you go into marriage, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important that you have conversations and you say, well, what is it that you like?
Yes.
Or
Whatever you
what
like.
don't you like? You know, however, instead of the stupid questions, you know, well, did you ever have anybody better than me? Of course she has. Unless she's never had anybody. That's a stupid question. A better question is, what can I do better?
Right.
Because there's nothing to grow from if I'm the best ever. Well, now I'm just keep doing what I'm doing then because I'm the best. Or if you did have better in the past, well, I'm going to go ask him what he did, right? So nothing you can get from that. So you have to ask her, what is it that I can do better? How can I please you better? Right? This is important, I think, when you get married. It really
You have to have a
is.
conversation.
I'm gonna try to call a little bit more because I just like what you just said. We talking about adulting. I'm just keep leaving the T out since you keep adulting one-on-one. I think, and even as saints, even in the church, when we skip past, run around, duck and dodge conversations, I think that leads to a lot of secrets that end up destroying everything anyway.
Yep.
And I think because we feel like we're not following the world rules no more, we gotta act like we didn't come up in this world and certain things never happen, and then we got to try to be perfect. And what happens with being perfect is you got to hide all of the stupid stuff you do on the day-to-day basis, and you don't get to connect with anybody because y'all all trying to be perfect and trying to be fake around
Everybody's
each other.
surface.
And I think, like you saying something great towards marriage, but I think even bigger, like people in the church or just in your family, like even with your kids. They getting older. You see them growing up, and you just running away from the conversation. Don't say that around here. They know you had sex to have them, and look, we don't gotta look too far, but you know what I mean. Joe may be getting it in, and you don't know because y'all don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Safe space.
So those safe space. So I just think we got to be a little bit more honest with ourselves. And I think we got to be a little bit more open with each other. And I think that'll help, not just being, talking about sex and how we can be better. That's important. Also, you got to have that conversation like with your kids. Like we have kids and they're young.
How you gonna feel when Rhythm start dating?
Why you got to put my daughter on it? You know what I'm saying? We want to talk about it.
That's
right.
Girl, you gonna be ready to be down somebody.
Right,
How you gonna feel about your son?
I buy a gun every year. Like, I'm like 3 guns in.
Your son though, how you gonna feel? It's gonna be way different, ain't it?
It is. Listen. It don't need to be different. I am honest. I do view them differently. Yes, in dating and even how they go about it. Only because it's easier for one of them to get it if they want it than the other person. One is hunting for it. So now I got to tell him what to do and what not to do, or to wait. So I feel like when we get older, like we're like what we talking 17, 18.
Yeah.
He hoping that it fall out the sky. Like he like, where's that? So the conversation is different than her that she's the person that's being hunted around that age. Like so I do feel like you do have to tack those differently.
Well, and only because you have to.
Before 17, 18, though.
I think
I'm talking for my kids right now.
This is it. You have to know your child, whether they're male or female. You have to know your child and their propensities towards things.
Okay,
right? And
I'm sorry.
They're the way.
What do propensity mean?
Okay, their attraction towards certain things.
That's what propensity mean. Like I want to use that word.
Right.
Propensity, huh?
We're gonna say I'm a
Send it to him. Come and use it at work. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
But you have to be aware of who your children are, what they're drawn to, what they need. And so if your son is a kind of kid that he likes to have a lot of attention, he needs that type of somebody else to build him up and all this other stuff, and all these little catty girls coming around and say, oh, you're so cute, your eyes and your eyelashes, and can I touch your hair, and all this other kind of stuff, and trying to woo at 9 and 10 years old. This little boy, he's feeling all of that, right? And some boys are like, please get away from me, I'm not trying to have you touching me. And so you have to know your child, whether they're male or female. You can't just say, my daughter I'm going to treat this way, my son I'm going to treat that way. There has to be a standard, a holy standard in your family, but at the same time, you got to know when you can talk to
You need to know who they are in the spirit.
You need to know who they are.
I would definitely
day and age too, though, it's
It's
right
a free
there
for all
in that
early.
forefront. It's in the on
Elementary
TV,
school, all everywhere.
Schools, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it don't even have to be that later on. It needs to be
Early.
at a point where these kids are socially around a lot of other people, or in a different environment where they're socially around other people. So it's like because somebody else gonna be like, you know what sex is, and he gonna come back to you and be like, what is sex? And they're only learning going off of what those people are saying, because you're not
You're right.
being
They don't
taught
have
about
any
what
truth
it
to
is.
balance it
So
out
it
on.
is like the earlier, honestly, the better.
Nothing beats a lie like the
now.
truth.
These kids are awful.
And they're picking it up, and then it's like now these kids, they're so wired to videos and iPads and TikTok and all that type of stuff.
stand these
Like that's what they're learning from.
Let the teachers beat them.
We should. Let me tell you one thing. And this is so awful, but we're going to come back on. I'm so sorry. This is Navy. I'm talking to my nephew, and we were talking about boxing. He was telling me about Tank the best man in the world. I was like, man, he ain't the best. You know, when he come out to knocking out, I say, who? Mike Tyson. You know, say Mike Tyson the bad. This boy looked me in my eye and say, the podcaster? I said, man, get out of here. He was serious. The podcaster? Who he knocking out? I said, well, he was a boxer. And boy, his brain just thought he just grew up old. Like, he never was young. I mean, how do you think Mike Tyson is? Say a podcaster though, bro. What are you gonna do? I said,
I showed that man some videos.
That man,
okay, sorry.
But listen, but you know what though? This is another reason why it hurts us when we don't know our biological fathers. Because when I can look at my father and I can see, if I can look at my father and I can see the things he struggled with, right? If I can see my father was an adulterer, if I can see and I know my grandfather was an adulterer. Now when I come into the knowledge of Jesus Christ, I realize something. This is something I got to deal with, because this is coming for me, right? And as a father, when you in your son's life, when you see those characteristics of those things that's in your bloodline, now you see you got to start dealing with these things, right? And see, there's certain things you can only deal, not only, but certain things you have to deal with in the spirit in order to eliminate those things, right? And see, I remember Jonathan, his first day at school, I told you, the first day at school, he came home and said he had 2 girlfriends. First day of kindergarten, first day, he came home and he just had one.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about his friends or the teachers or any of the classes. He talked about he had 2 girlfriends the first day. I said, no you don't, son. He said, yes I do. I said, son, no you don't. He said, yes I do. I said, son, you don't. Then he tried to be smart. He said, okay, well, Dad, they girls and they my friends and there's 2 of them. So I got 2 girlfriends. But here's my point. I know what's in my blood. I know the people that I come from. And we were all very whorish type of cats. I just came into the knowledge of Jesus Christ and got delivered from those things, right? But listen, those things are trying to, they wanted to go right down into my son. So it was up to me as a father
Not to think it was funny.
not to think it's funny. It ain't cute. It was not funny to me. And the reason I knew it wasn't funny, because I knew what it was. I've watched my family in the different generations be torn apart because of this adulterous whoreness that's inside of too many men in my family, right? So they ain't listening. But see, when I saw it, I can do something with it. Say we overcome Satan by the blood of the Lamb. So I had to begin, and the power of death and life is in our tongue. I had to speak the blood of Jesus over my tongue, over my son, right? I had to bind and break the power of perversion. I had to bind and break the power of pornography. I had to bind and break the power of fornication and all of those things.
Hypersexuality.
Yeah, the hypers, all of that stuff. I had to go in the spirit and war for my son in order for him not to repeat the things that I've seen for so many generations. But here, like I said, but here's the problem. When you can't look at your daddy and say, this is my daddy. I don't know what my daddy struggled with. I really don't. I don't know, I know stuff on my mom's end, right? But I was never close enough to my father to be raised with him and see what his struggles were and see the things that he wrestled with. So that's yet another thing. And he wasn't there to tell me, son, this is why you're feeling this way. This is why you're going. Let me tell you what it was like for me when I grew up. I struggled with this too, and this is how I dealt with it. You understand what I'm saying? But that's one of the things that we suffer from when we don't have our biological fathers as an integral part of our lives.
Yep. He got something to say. I just want to say something that I heard Pastor said I thought was really, really dope. Us as a community, or people, or family, laughter is a sign of that's okay. Mm-hmm. So even if you felt like you know that one right, just that point of laughing, like
You just
you
give a
laugh,
pass.
then try to like no, you already on, you know what I mean? You already don't condone it. You know what I mean? Don't you do that, girl, dancing like your mama. Don't do it. No, it's over. You just told him it was cool. Sorry.
So good. So I want to go back really quickly to what Pastor Don said earlier, and I believe what Money said too. So I think in our society, right, a part of the reason why we hear women say a lot, okay, this man don't know what he's doing in the bedroom, right? I feel as though it's because that guy was never taught how to please a woman, right? And so, the sex talk is just okay, you put this on and that goes in there, right? But you aren't taught like what to actually do once you get in there, right?
You never taught intimacy.
Right.
You taught intercourse,
Right.
but not intimacy.
Right. And so a big part of the problem is once again, there aren't men that are close enough to boys to actually speak in that capacity to say, look, when you get married and you get in the bedroom, this is what you do, right? And instead of just the random sex talk, okay, well, this is just kind of how this works. And then your boy out here just messing up, right? You know what you're doing, right?
The struggle. The struggle.
Swear the name. Hey,
But that's how beautiful. That's why I think about. That's why it's beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry, but I couldn't interfere. You go ahead. Oh, but that's why when you get two virgins don't know nothing about nothing, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing.
We just gonna figure it out together.
We gonna play with this stuff until something happens. So we can't compare. There ain't nothing to compare to.
The room is smell better.
get out of here. Get out of here. Hey, this is what I want to say. God. Something I do want to say. Hey, so
The silent
what I want to say, man, in counseling, this was a dope question. One of you guys asked this. I don't know. This was just one of my favorite questions. How was sex introduced to you? Yeah. That threw me off for the rest of the day. I was like, whoa, how was it? And my brain was, I was like, whoa, talk about it. And one thing that we don't realize, how we view sex, other than what we pick up along the way, that starting point, how we view it, it has a lot to do with how sex was introduced to us.
That's right.
And that scared me when he asked that. Like, and I want to say it was one of you guys. Somebody asked that was between the roses. Yeah, because you always ask the sex questions.
Yeah.
Look, real funny. Yeah. So Pastor actually married us, right? We in this room, it's just us four. So right afterwards, he go, hey, bro, let me talk to you. Something he's about to say some encouraging words. He say this in his whispering way, and it just messed me up also. What's your cheating plan? What? Oh, well, I just married like 3 minutes. Like, what happened? What's your cheating plan, brother? You gotta have one. Like, how are you not gonna cheat? And he just walked away, and I was like, what? But.
Yeah, you need to have understand what you're gonna do to stay faithful.
I just thought that was really dope. But how was you introduced to sex? And I feel like that just helps everything. Like once you realized how your introduction probably was so damaging, and then from that point on,
You're trying to
course
correct.
Yeah, like us fellas, like we don't know how many women we have traumatized.
Yeah.
That's right.
And because
that's facts.
Because trauma is looked at in the lifetime way. Lifetime have just marketed trauma in a certain way. That if you didn't get punched in your face and an elbow in the eye, you weren't really traumatized if you went up to them. I hate Lifetime. Can't believe that stuff's still on. But I hate that. I hate it. But it's so normal to be trauma. Just like the small stuff in there. And I think the things we did thinking this is how sex goes messed that girl up, and she went from place to place thinking that's how it goes. And another place, that's how it goes. Then the other guy go, well, she told me this how it goes. And then that poison just kept going and going and going and going and going. And like that's my thing. I think a lot of people have to ask that question. How was sex introduced to you? And if you can recognize that it wasn't the best way, and for some people that don't understand how that question works, it can be a movie, song. You could sing something. What was the first time you thought sex?
Love and basketball.
Loving basketball. I hate that.
Baby boy.
Oh my God, sorry.
Man, now wait, hold on now.
Sorry.
Can I actually talk about that a little bit?
BET is horrible. What?
Just a little bit.
We used to go see it in the movie theater. Me and my brother and my mom.
You went to the movies to see Baby Boy? They let you in?
My tail, but yeah,
Baby
she
Boy
took
was in
me
the
and Trey. My mom wasn't.
Baby Boy was in the movie.
Are you guys talking about people's age?
My mom wasn't saved. Like she
was
was
in
never
love.
in this life, but she wasn't saved at the time. It was just something. On Sundays we went to the dollar movie because that's all she could afford.
Okay.
Me, Trey, and her. We went us three.
They can bring
We
it back.
slept, napped, and went to the dollar movie and went to Stevie B.
Uncle Money.
That is what we did.
Come on now.
And my mom took us to see Baby Boy. Do I remember going to see it? Absolutely not. But my brother
That was your introduction.
told me like, yeah, we went to go see it.
I did a whole analysis about how that movie is horrible.
That's a great movie.
It's it's
man, that's
horrible
amazing.
because it took me a couple of times. It took my mature brain to recognize how normal I watched the first scene and realized she was at an abortion clinic, and I was like, wow, I have watched this all these times, so many times, and then I'm like 15 in, and I'm like, huh, this is a horrible movie.
Baby Boy is definitely one of my favorite movies.
It's one of the great
Entertaining,
movies.
but great one. Anybody else like what movies? If it was a movie? Oh, I'm so nervous.
Well, I don't want to go yet, but I do want to just interject about Baby Boy real quick. All right, since we're going there, this will be so fast.
Okay.
I want people just to tell me this part and tell me if it's true. Did Jodie and Yvette have sex so hard that she had a flashback of him as a child?
No, that's not what happened.
No, help me. You understand what? Okay.
Help me and tell me what happened.
No, you talking about he was in the one.
Not in the beginning. No. There was a part when she got. Hold on. Is it no? She got slapped, right? And they went in that room, and guess what? He was in the room again.
No, that's not what was going on.
He was,
That's not.
she seen it. It was her flashback.
No, she didn't see it.
Did she not?
No, what she was looking at was the whole death scene thing.
She was scared he was going to die.
She was scared he was gonna die, so she seen him in the casket. Like she seen him.
Wait. He was as an embryo first, though.
No, that's the beginning of the. That's the beginning. But if you but to your point, if you look at when it starts, he's in the womb thing.
Definition of what like the baby boy, what a baby boy is.
If I go back to this movie and go to that specific
You got
part,
PET Plus there?
doesn't matter. I will figure it out.
I'm telling you.
Watch
And
on FaceTime tonight.
listen, bro. We can watch as a tutorial. Listen. I'm telling you. It starts off with him crying in the room. This is symbolic because when you flash to what's going on, she's coming out of a building crying. He's eating lemon heads like it's normal.
Yeah.
So this shows you the baby crying was what she was in the clinic doing.
Not that part. Not
But
that.
I'm saying that's
Right. He's
the introduction.
talk like a man.
Stay
I
fight.
understand like a man, and I speak like a man. When I became a man, I put childish things aside. He hadn't developed a manly thought process, manly understanding, so he popping lemon heads and she going through something traumatic, right?
Yeah, he was eating lemon heads. But you was talking about at that point she was looking at
The entirety.
of him dying.
Cause you see the beginning of him, right?
What beginning? No, the part you talking about, the part when she was staring up and she was crying, she was like seeing him die.
Okay.
And that was her fear.
So can I say something?
You a fool.
He never.
I just
I've seen Baby
Introduction.
Boy.
I've never seen
have.
Baby. I've seen parts of it, and then I turned it.
It was all.
But I was now.
Kim has a very low tolerance.
Now I've seen enough foolishness in my day as well, but that one I just couldn't do.
That is one of my favorite.
No, that was it. That was all I had to say.
So,
Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Did you want to
kid.
say your introduction? Did you want to?
Oh, how I learned?
Why did your eyebrows go that far up?
Oh man.
You can skip this question.
Gather around, kids. It's gonna be a rocky one. So, I live with older people when I was younger, they had like this big, it was like a real big box, right? These box. Let me let y'all understand something, all right? I am at a certain age where what I'm about to talk about shouldn't be foreign. There were tape cassettes in the box, right? A bunch of tapes everywhere. But it would take me so long to go through the tape sets until I finally picked one. I didn't know what it was. But it had a title on it. Had a crazy title. Had a crazy title. Gonna leave the title with myself. But I call myself going in my room because, you know, I don't have cable. Everybody else does to me. We still have a VCR.
Of course you do.
Older people.
Okay, so you're not talking about cassette tapes, you're talking about VHS tapes.
Like a,
Yeah,
Because cassette tapes.
the VCR.
Both.
VCR tapes, okay.
Yeah, both. Both.
Okay, so you had music tapes and
Yeah, there was the one that was like this that did a little, and you could just put it in,
Right, I got
and you could listen to it.
yeah.
Okay.
Wow, he's older. Okay, guys, there were magazines in the back too. There was a thing. There was actually a treasure chest of magazines. Older. This is true. Okay, that is true. I'm talking about older than everybody in this room. That is true.
Gotcha.
Okay, it wasn't treasure chest.
So a big pile of porn.
Everywhere.
Every kind of porn media.
But it was properly put in the chest. It was properly put.
true.
You can find each page and no sticky pages. So remember, we're talking about things that we usually don't talk about. So anyway, so as I go in there, you know what I'm saying, I can't keep watching. What was that movie? I don't even remember. It was from Adam Sandler. But I can't keep watching that. So I'm just going through different movies because I don't have cable. So that's how I grew up on stuff. So I finally popped one in, and the first title was, you know, All-Star, and it just went from there. So I don't even know what All-Star volume this was, but it was All-Star. That's all I know is it said All-Star on it. Pop that baby in, see what was going on, and then I just really
Laid into
watched.
it.
And I'm like, this is, and it's crazy, and I'm being serious. I'm thinking to myself, this is what the kids be talking about at school.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that was on my mind. This is what they be talking about.
is it.
This is what I be lying about at school. This is really what that is. Okay, so then that's when I started learning my strokes and pokes from the video folks. Okay.
Wow.
Well, you guys.
He got
All right. Is there anybody else before we move on?
But you know, me too. I don't know about
Shit, I didn't come up with that. I didn't come up with that song.
But that's not me. I mean, we had when I was a kid, my cousins, we had they in their closet. They had these little. They wasn't even the whole magazines. It was just like rip outs of magazines. And this wasn't like.
because you don't need to. They're not reading no stories. They're just looking at pictures.
And this wasn't the classy pictures either. This was the bad pictures. They all bad. It wasn't classy. You know, and then I got a little older. So that was the very first. Then I got a little older, and it was these girls, these little nasty girls we knew from up the street, and they stole some videos from their mom and their daddy, and so we watched those videos. I mean, we was mesmerized by these videos. I mean, to the degree, me and my cousin Dre, we watched these videos.
Why you put his name all out like
Oh, you
that?
know, he all right. And so, I pass out. I wake up. Dre's still in front of the TV. Like,
I mean, when you first initially like watch it, it is like a
yeah.
what's happening.
And see, and the whole point of how it was introduced to how was sex introduced, the whole purpose of that question is pornography is a perversion of something that's supposed to be beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's a perversion of something that was meant to be done under covenant. But if you weren't introduced to it as a covenant blessing, as covenant pleasure to be enjoyed in the presence of God, actually. I know that sounds extreme, but God made sex. And he made it to be pleasurable between the husband and the wife. But if it was presented to you from porn, when just people just doing whatever, whoever and however they could, and at least pretending with all the drugs to enjoy it, you went into your sexual self and your sexual realization twisted, perverted, and upside down. And you're going to spend probably the rest of your life trying to figure out how to flip it back up. You know, and see, so that was the purpose of the question is, well, how was it introduced to you? Because you're coming from a different framework, you're coming from a different launching point, right? And so if it was introduced to me through porn, and it was introduced to my wife, let's just say, through covenant blessing and covenant pleasure, you know, through marriage, when we go into our marriage bedroom, we got two different we got two different visions on what this thing is supposed to be. Because I'm thinking this, and whatever. And
trying to get ropes and costumes.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Go to Pound Town.
you know,
She over here like,
and you know, and see, you see what I'm saying. So that's why it's important, because especially in marriage, last thing in marriage, when you love, and here's the problem: if you really love that person, and you really love each other, but you can't bring yourself, or you have to make yourself have sex with that person, something is wrong. Now, if you don't like the joker and they stink, that's different. You don't like them and they stink, that's why you don't want to have sex with them. But when you love your husband or you love your wife, but you're struggling to be intimate with that person, something somewhere is unplugged. You know, so you got to go all the way back and figure out what is plugged in the wrong place, or what is unplugged. You know, what do I need to do to fix it?
Nah, that was good right there. You know, very few times that I'm speechless.
How I say you're speechless.
I'm speechless. This is a great topic.
What's so funny is Jonathan was supposed to come. We talked about the fact that we never talk about sex.
And he's like, I don't want to talk about sex with my mom and my dad.
I don't know why that's his
I
voice.
said, what do you think we do? We just like, hey, young adults, let's talk about sex. So, no, we don't ever. I said, we really don't ever talk about sex.
Talk about sex, and then boom, here we are.
You know, the comment section started this. They sell the pancakes. Let them know. Edge. We got edge. Let them know. We got edge. Yep. Right, another podcast is They're Edgeless, okay?
Are you talking about other podcasts?
They're Edgeless.
Make sure you get this part.
They're Edgeless.
Okay.
Sorry. We didn't get a chance to touch on our topics. I will share this because I feel like it's fair. I was introduced to sex by a horrible movie, Players Club.
Ooh, that's my movie.
That should not be your movie.
My movie. I can go line for line, word for word.
I already know the part. You talking about in that room, man.
Listen to me, honestly, it wasn't a good introduction. It wasn't a good introduction. I remember I remember the feeling, like I remember like the Lisa Ray feeling, like, but I couldn't describe it, and I remember the feeling, like, what am I feeling? Like, I don't like, it's like, what is the feeling?
I know what I was feeling.
But the crazy one was, just like he was saying, it was that part, and it bothered me. It didn't feel like I knew it was wrong, but it lingered. Yeah. It lingered like through the week, like it made me depressed almost as a kid. Right. I remember, like, don't I still think about it? And it's the reason why even now I don't watch certain movies, like even like the Power Hole thing when that was going on. Like when something happened in the show, and if it like impact me, I like unplug it like immediately. And just movies like that, like it was so real how it happened. Like it just was like funny. Then like, you're like, bro, what happened? Like, bro, what just happened? Like, what just happened? Like, and it just.
Imagine if your first sexual movie was The Color Purple.
Oh God!
You know what's so funny about that?
That's dope.
We watched The Color Purple a million times,
and then think of it sexually.
And then think of it sexually.
And the first, I can actually tell you the part that I'm talking about real quick. That's gross stuff. That's really nasty. Now think about it, because the person who's doing it is, I think it's like her father, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of
yes.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Think about if that's your first movie where you see that and you see incest and you
violation.
See violation.
I didn't even know that.
So think about this though. So if you are introduced to sex through violation, through violence, through rape, right? Now, everything about your whole sexual vision from there grew from that. That was the seeds. It grew from that. Now, you're supposed to fall in love, get saved, love Jesus Christ, marry this man or woman, and just have a healthy sexual relationship. Yeah. when you see sex as perverse, because it was introduced to you as perverse and painful. So now you're supposed to see it as beautiful and holy. It don't work like that. Something has to die in your vision in order for a new vision, this thing to be born. You know, so that's why I say I don't like talking about nasty stuff. It's because it's about getting to why do I feel this way? Why do I think like this? You know what I'm saying? Am I expecting something from my wife that I really shouldn't be expecting from her? You know what I'm saying? Why do I expect this? You know, and we have to go all the way back. What's the root of this thing? How did it start? How did I start feeling this way? Where does this come from? You know, so if that type of thing is your first experience, and that's how you're introduced to this thing, man, that perversion it just becomes growing branches and leaves. And
I'm gonna tell you this, and I know you joke on Sister Kim a lot and her movie preference, and you know I'm the same. I like a lot of the movies she says she likes. It took me a while. I had to go back and watch some of these other movies, like, and this was interesting. This is crazy because we talk about movies a lot. We do. Black classic movies are majority horrible, trash. And even as a child, nobody taught me this. I was the only one in the hood. I would watch certain things that made me feel good, and most of them was white movies. That's the reason I started watching. Like even today, I like dry humor. I can watch a movie with like my favorite show today. Like I tell people, I hate Living Single. I love Friends. Friends is my number one movie.
TV show.
Yeah. So I don't like. If for some reason it turned me off for a long time, I had to go back and get into the Martins and get into all those because it seemed like everything we had on TV, even though we're entertained by it, when you say your favorite part of the movie, it'd be horrible if you just sit and think about it. Like it'd be horrible, and we say it so normal. Like we'll be like, yeah, my favorite part. You know, he came in the house and said, "Shut up and fix me some eggs," and that's the movie. Bow. You know what I mean? He took a car. That's the movie. You know, every movie. You know, Friday is horrible. He lost his job on the day off. It's horrible. So he got high. Like it's like, what is going on? Like it's crazy. But I said we can make a change by exposing ourselves to other stuff. But there's good black movies. It's hard to find, but you know, there's good black movies. Boomerang was a good one.
I like
Boomerang was good.
I love Boomerang. Yep.
See, Boomerang was good. But that's about it. I don't know too many others.
Deliverance from Evil was good.
Robin Givens.
Oh, she's blessed.
It has to be. Cause she's
very talented.
She made it. I don't know how she made it through the thing.
He's speaking in code.
He is.
He's speaking in code.
I am too. I'm with him. I am with him. She cause she look like a beautiful alien. Like I just can't. You can't. Okay. I'm just saying. She had the face of a heart.
Yeah.
She had a weird face. Like if you drew it, but it's still beautiful, but it's weird.
Her and Tika Sumpter. Those the two. Now I wouldn't leave my wife with those two, but I would hear what they got to say. I just want to hear what they want to say. I'm not gonna
let us hear them out. Here we can go.
I say, wow, Robin, I'm gonna give you the right.
Y'all have to drive home together. I'm just saying,
peace.
You're gonna see us for another month. So next time we do these super shows, and on the One Rose show, you know why? War of the Roses, but that was a good movie.
I like War of the Roses. I like Mr. and Mr. Smith, but I shouldn't.
No, that was terrible.
So that number War of the Roses just were like kick moves.
Yeah.
That's domestic violence.
It is domestic violence.
It is entertainment. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I shouldn't like it.
Yeah, because these War of the Roses, like the woman voice was just as deep as Michael Douglas. Yeah. Like her voice was super deep, so you couldn't feel sorry for her. Like that's how they get you. They make the woman horrible.
Really? That's what happened.
They made her so horrible that when he hit her, like he was like, oh, did he hit her? They was fighting in the house. Like when they was fighting in the house, they was fighting.
It's kind of like in the family that prays when she got slapped over the counter.
Not gonna lie, kind of cheered.
Everybody was really happy.
Kind of cheered. That was you. Kind of cheered.
She got slapped by another woman, not a man, though, right?
No, she got slapped by the man. She found out that baby was Michael Carlites. Whatever his name is.
And he flipped over.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get that confused with every other woman in the world.
But she deserved it, because how you gonna sit here and tell your man, you will never be Michael Cartwright.
Yeah,
never
you
have
definitely
your
deserve the snap, but you know, you still don't.
Gotta keep your hands.
You're basically, you know, your own husband.
Sound like rap lyrics.
She flipped over the table.
It was kind of funny, but I had to.
It was, but they built it up though.
Like the dude with them bubbles too. That was messed up.
That was messed up, but that was
But
funny.
dude was like,
That was my favorite part. That when he in the tub. That when he in the tub.
oh, okay.
Dude, not making all them bubbles.
I hate Tyler Perry because
I do too.
he made me say like, I never loved you. You disgusting. You ugly. I would never. I was like, oh my God, nobody would say that.
No, that's horrible. Tyler Perry is the funniest comedian ever. He gives you, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry's a comedian?
He's definitely a comedian.
You don't think?
You don't think Medea is?
You
Yeah.
don't think Medea's comedy?
No, I think it's horrible. I never liked Medea since the moment I was no.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not a big fan of Man in Drag, but that is an amazing drag queen.
The plays was decent. The plays was decent because I felt like the lessons. Yes, I'm trying to be. Yes, because because you know the message was like clear. It was right there. They're talking, and then the improv is awesome. The movies, every movie I've seen, is horrible to me.
I kind of agree.
I just like.
Haven't seen one good movie. Name me one.
The thing is, he don't have good. You won't have a whole good family. I mean, there's not a whole lot of good people. There's not a lot of virtue in it. Even the people that's supposed to be Christians, they not good people. You know what I'm saying? It's like they still not good people. He just he don't write good people well.
He write the most.
The Browns was a good one.
Mr. Browns. Oh
It just wasn't very.
I'm not even a Browns fan.
Probably be like one of my top ones.
Anything with the Browns is never good.
Never good.
Browns is just a horrible
Family
thing.
Reunion was good.
We only watched Tamala Mann. She's gorgeous.
Honestly, between I go and watch because of Tamala and David Mann.
Yeah.
They ain't in it. I don't want.
That was, you know that woman that's on the House of Pains, the short chubby one.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, what her name is?
I like that too. Do you want to do the cartwheels and go like she's too chubby to do cartwheels?
Oh, that's Aunt Bam.
Yep. And the Uncle Curtis dude, he's talented. But Tyler Perry should just stop. But you know, I don't know.
He's trying to though. That's the crazy thing.
He's trying to what? He write, direct.
He wants to write and direct. I think he been trying to
You can't do
die
it.
out Medea.
You can't do it all. But
Nah, he love him some Medea. Yeah, he wake up every day, can't put on a dress. I'm telling you, man. He ready for that. He ready for everybody.
Yeah, but he's done it for so long. Sometimes he don't know how to turn it on and turn it off.
And the thing,
you know what I'm saying?
he's comfortable because when you see when he act as a man in these movies, he don't nail that role. So like he be saying off the wrong things.
He's trying to.
Like no, Medea, you can't say that in the court. You can't say it in the court. I'm like, you so uncomfortable.
Remember when he used to live in his car? There was a man he used to live with. He called his beau. I want you guys to look into Tyler Perry's beau, okay? Tyler Perry has a friend that he lived with on and off for a very, very long time. This homosexual man.
I think this conversation.
Yeah, we gonna go ahead and like, you know.
We probably need to say.
Anyway,
we should go to churches.
Jakes.
He's a fake.
No, see, every time somebody fall for it, they ask the question, what's wrong? Then he go, oh, I know.
These motivational pastors
Okay, so this has been a great show,
on
guys.
TV.
I like the
You got your back to your.
You know the ones I'm talking about.
Hey guys, I'd like to thank you guys for coming again. This is a
Thank
great
you for
show.
having us. It's been a really big pleasure.
They said we was ageless. Sorry.
We do need to save that last question.
We do.
Come back.
We do when we come. That's gonna be one of our first
That's
ones.
something I want to get.
Yes.
What's that?
Thank you. What was the question? Female pastors. Female pastors.
That one.
Oh yeah, but you know what? We're gonna save it. So that means
definitely gonna save it.
Everybody go home, meditate. Until June. Meditate.
I don't know. Well,
Hey guys, you know.
She'll do it for me. I'll call.
Yep.
The guy,
What the guy?
Pastor Knight.
You know, I tried. And Pastor Knight, you know, he got me. He was like, you know, maybe. So I'm close.
Smooth.
He got Pastor Rose walked away. I was wasting perfect time. Pastor Rose walked away. I was like,
I'll be handling business after church, man. I be busy. I be trying to get home.
yeah, you got to get them shake. You got to get yep. Hey, yeah. All right, gotta go. Huh? All right, yep. All right. Anyway, yeah, I usually end this with like a nice joke, and you know, but you know, I do tell everybody like that listening. We do tackle every topic the best way we can. If we're making mistakes, we do not shy away or run away from that smoke. So if you do have a problem, let us know. Come and address us, and you're always welcome to express yourself on this platform. We do not wish to offend anyone. We're just truly passionate about our perspective. We do thank you guys for respecting that. And please do not get upset for us. Do not get upset at us for not knowing your limits. Just tell us, and we'll be able to, you know, get you to come up here and, you know, express yourself. Other than that, I'm just gonna walk away.
Mic drop.
Yep. So you know,
You guys did a great job.